This week on Zen and Not Zen, Bro Time Edition.
One of the better pranks I did, intention matters when you do pranks, and who you do them to also matters. I didn't get along with my freshman roommate in college. The other suite mate, they hated each other. We did not like each other in my room, but we liked each other's suite mates. And so over Christmas break, I texted Sarah and I was like, "All right, Sarah, I'm pulling the trigger. Like I'm moving you in. We're room swapping. Everybody's gone." I took a picture of each room.
Yeah.
Took everything out, repositioned everything as it was in their room.
All right.
Like to the pencil in the picture.
All right.
So I was very proud of it, but I ended up getting kicked out of my dorm room.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Oh man!
It's very
You crossed the
fair.
line, huh?
Oh my god!
Very fair. Bro time.
Bro time.
Bro time.
Can I tell you that you inspired me because your life where you go out to these games or these concerts.
Yeah.
I don't normally do that, like out of state. Like I'll do that all like if they're in town, whatever. And I have been dying to see Sarah Paulson on Broadway. She has not been on Broadway for 13 years. And I remember seeing a video clip of her doing like the Glass Menagerie with Jessica Lange. And I was like, God damn it, I would kill to just see her. And so now she's on Broadway again.
Do it.
I'm literally flying in.
Fuck yeah.
The day before, get there at 5 p.m., shows the next night, leave first thing in the next morning. And in my brain,
Oh, you're doing logins in Messina.
literally. And my brain was like, you can't justify this. You can't, there's just no way. And I was like, you know who would do this? Robin would do this.
Fuck yeah, he would.
Robin would do this and Robin would have a blast. So I should be able to do this. So I
Okay.
bought all the tickets.
Are you and Mandy going?
No, I'm going by myself.
Oh, you're going solo.
I'm
solo.
Oh, that's right. Mon was gonna try to go with you.
Because I was planning on going solo. Mandy can't go because I'm doing it on my days off work because I don't want to take time off work.
Fucked up days. Yeah.
So I was just like, well, she has a Thursday show. I'm off Wednesday, Thursday,
Where's this?
Friday in New York City.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say when you
Fuck
said
yeah.
Broadway, I'm like, you're going to fucking.
No, I'm going to like fucking New York. And I'm going by myself, and I was just like, I can't find anyone to go, and I don't, and it's not that like I have gone to Beyonce concerts by myself. In town, like I do shit by myself all the time.
It's not as scary. I've only done it a couple of times. It's
Yeah.
not as scary as you quote think it would
Right,
be.
yeah.
No, and
but it is.
And
yeah,
I don't
you got-
have another Sarah Paulson fangirl
I don't
to
even know
go
who
with
the
me.
fuck that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to be fangirling out the whole time. And if you can't match my vibe, I don't want to make you spend the kind of money that I'm spending
Right.
to go see her.
Probably. I mean, it's gonna be a decent amount. You don't need to tell, but it's like, I mean, that's. You doing a red eye? Is the flight relatively
Well,
affordable?
the nice thing was when I bought them, the tickets were $99
Yeah,
each
so
way. So
fuck.
the ticket out to New York was basically the
That's
same.
negligible. So
Yeah,
like
nothing.
driving to Tacoma is going to be,
Yeah,
Right.
$25 or
So
whatever. Like
this is
seriously.
all what's going through my mind. I was
Yeah,
like,
of
Robin
course.
would justify this.
Oh
Robin
yeah, I
would justify
got you on this. Keep going.
and I keep going. And so I was gonna get orchestra tickets. Orchestra tickets were
Like
like,
the pit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking in the pit, fit
Yeah.
to be in the pit. But there is the mezzanine at this theater is apparently the better seating
Yeah.
because it kind of sits
down.
right over the stage, and I want to be able to see everything. So I got like the best seat in the house, spent a little too much money on it.
One ticket's easier to get than a pair.
That is exactly fucking right.
Yeah,
And what I did, there were two seats, and there was an aisle seat and a middle seat. And I was like, I'm going to buy the aisle seat because there's only one middle seat. No one's going to buy that middle seat. So I'm going to have both those seats
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
price
good
of
for
one.
you. Good for you.
And I'm staying at a hotel around the corner, walking distance, and that was like $300 for
Yeah,
2
that's
nights.
that.
That was the biggest expense.
Yeah, I was like, I'm like the fucking. That's why I haven't done New York yet. Is just because of the.
But it
fucking-
wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like
No,
it was
that's
$300
not bad.
total
$100 to get out
for
there?
No.
two and a half days,
No,
so
that's
$150 a
fucking
night.
awesome.
Like,
good for you. How stoked are you?
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very
And
excited.
there's something so special about traveling and having those experiences by yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's always great to have somebody, like you said, equally as excited
Oh,
or that
totally.
can get on
Well,
that
you're
level.
married. You got a great partner.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you've done that
and
shit.
God bless Mandy. Like I feel bad spending money on vacations that she can't go on because we're
Right.
like, we're a team. And so I told her that, and she's like, I can't go, but she goes, but you're going.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're
There you go.
absolutely
Yeah, no,
going.
exactly.
She's like, don't even think twice. You're going for sure.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I can't fucking
Yeah.
wait. And because I know I
It's a long
manifested.
flight. That's more ambitious than anything I've
It
done.
is. Well, I leave.
6
The flight
hours.
isn't too bad. It's at like 7 a.m. I get there at 4. So it feels longer, but it's just time change.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 hours.
But I know I manifested being able to meet Molly Shannon, so I'm like, I'm gonna stay because I'm by myself
go.
and I don't have to be on anyone else's schedule. I'm gonna be waiting at that stage door
what you
for
gotta do.
hours after
Yep.
the
You gotta
show,
do.
whatever the fuck I have to do.
That's
yeah.
so cool. When's
Yeah,
that?
the 17th. So
Of
just
this
like
month? Oh, yeah,
couple
dude.
weeks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And that's the cool thing about traveling by yourself is like you don't have another schedule.
Yeah.
You just have to justify it with
I'm
yourself.
looking at restaurants I want to go
That's
to.
that's
And
why
like
I've always
conversations
recommend
can
doing
pull
it at
you
least
into
once.
yeah, and then you have like all of a sudden you're talking to somebody you normally wouldn't talk to because they're a
Totally.
person, and like then all of a sudden, like when we do this in foreign countries, it's like all of a sudden you're at somebody's house having dinner with their family.
Yes.
Then you're like, wow, this is amazing. This is the part of the culture that you don't see as a tourist. You have to experience as a local.
It is-
and by finding that, and it could be major
Yeah.
cities,
Yeah.
impoverished city, whatever it is, it's like fuck it, it's awesome to just embrace that experience.
And for me,
you.
it's so much easier to go with the flow when I'm by myself,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, what do I feel like doing right now? Oh, I'm just going to go. I don't have to converse with anyone else. I don't have to check in. Like, do you need a nap? Do you need to go back to the hotel? And I'm such a people pleaser that that person that I'm with always comes first.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
fact that I
it's-
can
it's-
just wake up when I want, hey, I want to go to this restaurant. I want to eat this thing. I
Hell
want to
yeah.
stand at 4 hours at the stage door after the show so I can fucking meet Sarah Paulson.
You know, a lot of times when I'm, I haven't traveled by myself in a while, but it's like when you do that shit, like you can find yourself like, I can just eat this right now and just keep moving.
Totally.
Everything's not like, oh, do you want to eat here? Well,
Yeah.
this might be quick. Well, it might
Right.
be
Yeah.
busy. It's like, no, just fucking, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Where's the last time you had a big travel trip by yourself, Robin? You went to New Zealand, right?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that the last time?
That was the last time. But I was thinking about when I went to Scotland to my fucking cousin's wedding like 10, 12 years ago. But
That was when
New
you were
Ze-
still at Red Hook.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that. Yeah,
But New Zealand was post Red Hook. Yeah, that was the last one.
and that's a huge venture to do by yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
That was a little trippy. Yeah, I mean, I see. The thing is like 10, 12 years ago when I went and did the Scotland thing, and I had multiple stops. Like I flew into Amsterdam, then I was going to Scotland, going to the wedding, then going to Ireland.
Right.
And my bag got lost and stuff. But I was very stressed out about that shit before I left. Like and I was probably 29 or whatever. It wasn't like I was 15,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm meeting fucking kids in New Zealand. They're like, yeah, I'm going to Florida. I'm 19. I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck did you
don't-
get here? I'm like,
Right.
like I sort of have my shit together.
Right.
I mean, I was still getting fucking hammered. But like,
Well, that's the thing. Like when I met Monica,
God, she's crazy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I met her when she was
She was
18, and
jet
I was
setter.
like 23 or 24. And we were
Yeah.
working at a restaurant together. This is before we were romantic. And
That term.
romantic.
well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
Yeah,
people
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had a relationship at that time. I wasn't cheating on nobody.
Yeah.
Like, we were just homies, right? And I was just, and this is what really kind of drew me to her as a human being is like, she told me about how many countries she's already been to, and she was 18, and I'm like, wait a minute. You've already been to
How?
like 12 countries and you're 18. And so what she did so she didn't really mesh well with high school.
Sure.
She's more of an artist, right? And so she found this really interesting loophole at the school she was going to that you can get credits by traveling abroad. And if you can write some kind of curriculum and show the teachers, hey, this is what I'm going to learn, and then you prove that
my
you're going to learn that,
God.
you can do that, and that gives you credit, and that gave her credit enough to not have to finish high school in school and to just go travel abroad.
What?
So she booked
They
it.
need to tell more people
I know,
about this.
right?
I
It's
would have
like-
fucking
well,
done that.
Well, I told the story about my buddies who like attempted to do running start and just
Yeah,
flunked
yeah.
out of
Yeah,
class
yeah.
and just did shrooms and
Yeah.
then like
Running
graduated
stop.
on. Yeah,
Running
right.
stop is what it was. Yeah.
Exactly. That was a loophole. They got a half a year
Totally
off.
right. Yeah. Well, so she wrote this curriculum, presented it to her teachers. They were like, "Cool, that works great." And she took 3 weeks and traveled Europe by herself.
Wow.
Oh my
Backpacked.
God, that's
and
so
it was
ballsy.
like probably the best thing that ever happened to her because
Yeah.
it got her out of her fucked up home life. It gave her an experience of things that she never would have understood.
18,
Yeah.
as a
18 growing
female.
up the way that she grew up.
Yeah.
Going to another country and seeing the vast opportunities of what life can give you other than what you were seeing directly
That's
in the
so
four walls that you
crucial,
lived
man.
in. Fucking hell, it changed her life, you
Yeah.
know. And not to be comparison, but I look at other people in her life that have had similar experiences that didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
That it seems like that trauma is very ingrained within them now.
Yeah.
Whereas Monica was
Yeah.
able to process it in a way by seeing what else is out there in the world.
Right.
You know,
Fuck.
fucking
didn't-
great.
That there are
I didn't-
options, that there's freedom,
I didn't
that
know
this
she
isn't all
quote
this
respectfully
is.
scammed her way out of the fucking
No
high school.
Oh yeah,
shit,
100%,
go
man.
on.
100%,
For
yeah,
you.
she fucking did it right,
God.
man.
Yeah, and
That's
I
awesome.
I mean, I did that after I graduated college, and I still felt like too not young to do it, but
Yeah.
like I still felt very immature.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
right.
couldn't imagine doing that.
18 is
18
insane.
is a
18,
child.
19. Like,
No.
I mean, this, like the person I was talking about who I ran into in New Zealand, like, we were fucking off the beaten path. That
Yeah.
was like
Right.
a 3-hour fucking bus ride to like a fucking surf. Vaughn McAleer, shout out Vaughn, was the guy who was
Right.
like, go to get there. Only
Yeah.
place I found weed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, yeah, he was right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like critical thinking skills. Shit doesn't always go right. It doesn't go as planned. You got to
Right.
roll with the punches. You got to be able to.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, you get taught a lot of life skills when you travel by yourself.
Yeah.
I think maybe some of it is, and I don't fucking know, but like if you think about like kids now, like that 18-year-old or 19-year-old that I'm thinking about, you know, I was twice that kid's age, but like grew up with like cell phone, like a way more like kind of
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
potentially a bigger worldview and a more accessible idea of like how easy. And like, you know,
Yeah.
I still grew up where
Access
it was
to
like
information.
planes and shit. We were still writing fucking letters and stuff when I
Yeah.
was a kid.
Well, and also like what
I mean, you
We were
still do that, but
asking
you know what I
Jeeves.
mean.
We were still asking Jeeves.
fuck
about
Fucking
yeah.
it.
dude, I
Yeah.
still ask
Yeah.
Jeeves.
well, and to that point too, you know, like you have the ability now to go and look at and talk to people from another country that you want to potentially visit and actually see what they're saying and how they feel and
Play
all this
fucking
stuff,
video games
rather
with
than
these
people.
rather
Yes.
than just seeing what's on the news and watching this like watered down or this embellished, you know, story
One
about
view.
like I was just watching something the other day and they were like, so Peyton wants to go to Mexico. She's going to Mexico in a couple,
Nice. What part?
Puerto Vallarta. She's going with
Nice.
her uncle. And
Sweet.
And when I was talking to her about it, you know, I was like, "Where you guys staying?" They're like, "We're doing an all-inclusive resort. We
She
plan on
going
just
with Aaron?
no. Her other, uncle on her mom's side.
Okay,
you know?
okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, we're planning on staying in the resort." And I'm like, "Please, when you have an opportunity, get out and see
Leave the
Mexico.
resort.
Yeah.
Leave the resort.
Yeah.
Mexico is one of the safest places I've ever been in my entire life. Nobody's
Can't-
gonna snatch you off the street.
Not in PV.
Not
No,
in PV,
no.
exactly, right? So, like, don't fall into the propaganda of this being unsafe because, like, I've had dinner with people in their own very, very own homes because of a mistake that I made.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the niceties of this family is like, you want to come have
Wrong
dinner
turn?
with us?
Yeah.
Okay, come on. It's like Mon and I are all of a sudden sitting in Sayulita at this dinner table with his family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, don't be afraid of that stuff. And you know, when we were growing up, that's
Also,
all we had.
all that
Yeah.
The
resort.
Gulf War, all that shit, and it was all this propaganda about this negativity that
Yeah.
almost kept us in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, let's go out, let's let's see for ourselves how negative and bad this is because it's really not.
Right.
The other thing about the resort is it's probably like one of those resort timeshare things. There's
Yeah.
a fuck ton of them, all in, you know, they're all over the place, but there's, you know, quite a few in PV. Food usually fucking sucks. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
usually
very
pretty
bland.
shit, and
Yeah.
it's always usually, and the problem, I've never done all inclusive, and now that I don't get fucked up like
Yeah.
drinking anymore, I'm
Kinda wasted,
What am I
yeah,
doing?
yeah.
But like, you're only gonna eat and drink. You're gonna do that like probably 60-70% of your meals at that resort, and it's usually pretty shit. Best meal I've still ever had was in PV at some fucking street tacos, and it was like fed for like me and my ex at the time. We got fed and drank. Juice was more expensive than beer for like fucking $8.
Yeah.
You know.
When Peyton was young and I was still with her mom, we went to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And we stayed at one of those sandals
Now
resorts.
that's a slightly different story when we talk about safety.
Yeah.
And exactly right. So there was potential uprising going on in Kingston at that point in time, and we had little ones. It's
Yeah.
like just stay in an all inclusive resort. It was one of those like sandals resorts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, the food sucked, but that's the only all inclusive I've ever done, and probably the only one I'll do. But it was so amazing because having a kid, they provided in-home nannies.
Oh shit.
And so, like, all the places were kid-friendly, but if we wanted to go out and have our own night, we could just call one of the in-room nannies. They'd come and hang out with the kids, and they were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and so we would just, like, kick it there. But, yeah, the food sucked, and it was all watered-down, like, culture. And there was one point where we were actually off campus. We went, played golf, Sydney and I. while we were on the
It was
golf
back
course.
when he had that famous golf swing.
100%, yeah.
100%.
And yeah, shooting,
We've gone to the driving range once.
horrible.
That was a
Horrible.
tough. It didn't help that I was also raking that fucking day. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. But we were on a green or on a hole right by the water, and so we're sitting there, we're lining up our putts. You know, we have our guides and everybody's around us. You know, it's all fun and drinking and shit. And all of a sudden, the speedboat pulls up, and it was all dramatic, like fucking 90s fucking
Miami
movie
Vice.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? And they're like, hey, there's an uprising in Kingston. All people that are outside of Jamaica or outside of the resort need to come back now. You're a target. And we're like, oh shit, okay,
Cool.
get the golf bags, honey. We're going back to the
We're gonna go
resort.
back.
Did you
And they
putt?
sped us back. No, fuck no.
Adam,
Did you get the 18
Adam
in?
turned his
on that
card
one.
in. He turned his card in.
I took
Peachy.
par on that. I was shooting snowman, but I took par on that one, Robin. Yeah, we got in there and just sped back and just bunkered down.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You know? It's like fucking hell,
Fuck
man.
that.
That was crazy. Yeah, good
Yeah.
times though.
I know, it's funny, like my mom, even like when my mom comes to visit up here, like she will text me all the time because she knows I like walk to and from work, and she's like, you need to have pepper spray. They're all over the news. It's just saying Seattle's so dangerous and there's so much crime. And I was like, that's not true. But like in the 12 years I have lived in the city,
Yeah.
I have felt there's a difference
Capitol's
between
not-
dangerous and sketchy.
Right.
Like sketchy is I saw someone talking about this like last night. They're like, dangerous is where you turn around and walk away. Sketchy is where you walk around. And I feel
Right,
like
yeah.
my neighborhood right now is sometimes can be a little sketchy, but I've never felt like
Yeah.
fear for my life.
Yeah.
And but anytime she comes into town, she's like, I can't believe you take the train. I was like, I've literally never had a problem on the train. Ever.
Right,
I have
right.
never had a problem
So
with
it's
light rail.
so
Ever.
it's funny is when we I just to this morning I went for a walk. There's a nature trail by my house, kind of close by my house, that Tiffany and I occasionally walk on.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to come here by yourself, or like part of my thing, do this." And I'm like, "All right, truth be told, though, like I would like you to, not to be overly paranoid, but we're talking like something along the line
Yeah.
of pepper spray." Because I'm like going, "This is where bad shit can happen because this is like fucking nothing else around here."
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's where, I mean, again, I hate being overly paranoid. 'Cause
No,
I'm not really
that's
that
where
guy.
I get nervous. Like, I get nervous walking the Arboretum by myself.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh,
Right,
this is a
yeah.
perfect location for me to come.
But
Like,
it's-
but yeah.
I mean, as
Capitol Hill doesn't
as a dude on Capitol Hill, it's not the fucking nicest area. As someone who doesn't, I don't spend a
No.
lot of time there, but it's like I'm not like, oh fuck, it's improved so much since I was last here.
No, it
Broadway
definitely
is still
has.
Broadway.
Yeah, it definitely has its problems. But I think maybe because I live there, it's like, well, I know which street to go down.
Yeah,
I know
you know-
this
you know
one
the lay
at
of the
this
land.
time of night. Yeah, probably skip
was-
that light. And so I know where the parts not to go are. I'm not walking in Pioneer Square at
Well, it's
midnight.
and it's like when I lived on the fucking corner of the freeway, like
Yeah.
in Wallingford. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like that was totally fine, but it like aesthetically from like everyone else, like what the
It
fuck?
looks scary.
It's like you
Yeah.
live there,
Right.
It's like, yeah, it was awesome.
Well, and a lot of the times, like my mom, when my mom kept talking about it, and I was like, just get on the train. She flew in. I was like, I'm not picking up at the airport. Just get
a
on the
long
train.
ass train ride, but
well,
yeah.
but it with traffic when she was coming in, it's
Yeah.
like we're gonna be in traffic that
No,
long
no, no,
anyway.
no. Hell no,
Capitol
no.
Hill Station's right by my house. Just like take the train. I've never had a problem. And of
Yeah.
course, she took the train and had a fucking problem. And she was like, there was this guy on the train, and he was just yelling. And I was like, well, what was he doing? She goes, well, he was yelling. And I go, okay, just let him yell.
Well, in
like
Seattle.
Like that's not. Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't get fazed by that stuff anymore. But I think when you're not in those countries or cities and
Totally.
you don't have that every day, maybe I'm just jaded and I get desensitized by it. But
yeah,
like,
I'd say it's probably more you're just kind of used to
Yeah,
seeing
it's
Yeah.
various shit.
probably
Like that's the thing
does
is
not
like
faze me
it's,
anymore.
it's when I used to, and I hadn't taken the bus downtown, but before COVID and shit, I would take the bus to work probably about half the time, maybe.
Yeah.
And you have the option of the E line or the fucking 5, and the 5 takes about 15, 20 minutes longer, but
Yeah.
you actually have people that quote pay to get on that fucking bus.
Right.
And that's just literally a hedging of your bets because also the 5's late all the fucking time. So
Right.
it's just like literally like you get used to this shit, but it's
Right.
like
No, and there's definitely been
It
like
doesn't
and
make it okay.
there is a definite shift in energy in the neighborhood since the pandemic. Like there are
Oh, it's bad.
the unhoused crisis is real. Like
Yeah.
there is a lot more than there was, but like I don't.
We were just talking about Goodwill. How everything's like
Right.
fucking $10
So
at
much
Goodwill.
expensive.
Yeah,
so expensive.
it's crazy.
Yeah, when my aforementioned ex and I were still together, her parents were from a small town in Idaho called Twin Falls. It's like really, and they lived
heard of it.
outskirts of that, right, on a
Yeah.
farm, and so it's like love. They're beautiful, beautiful, well versed human beings, but also they live in this little small space, right?
Yeah.
So whenever they'd come to
Did
Seattle,
they film Nell there?
I don't know, a little tay in the wind.
You may have just made that
Tay in the
up. You may have just
wind.
I
made
was just
that.
talking to somebody about that the other day. It's like you have such a vast knowledge of things, and you've proven yourself right so many times that I've stopped challenging or checking.
Oh, that one I just made up.
Exactly. It's like he can just be talking shit the whole time. I have no
Yeah.
fucking idea if it's true or not. But
Appreciate
anytime
that leeway.
but anytime they'd come to town, they would want to go to Broadway because they wanted to see Broadway. They
Right.
wanted to see the colorfulness of Seattle.
Yeah.
And sometimes there were like fights, and sometimes there
Yeah.
were like dudes walking with dresses, and sometimes there was
Yeah.
fully tattooed people, and it was
All walks
and it's
of
not
life.
like they were gawking at it, but it's
Yeah.
just like it's stuff they don't see.
You only
And
see it
they
in movies when you live in
they
stuff
love
like that.
life, right?
Right.
And so it was cool to kind of see that.
Wow.
But it's also like, like you realize what you kind of get used to.
Yeah.
And it can be a bad thing, but it can also just be like a testament to what we can endure as humanity.
Yeah.
And knowing that we can't save everybody, and we can't help all the unhomed people or whatever that's going on, but we
I can have compassion
we can have
for
compassion,
them. Like
exactly.
I'm not scared of them. I have
Yes,
compassion.
totally.
It's just like, damn, it is cold outside. It is rainy. It is like I fear is not my first reaction anymore.
Right.
So maybe that helps with how I view it. But
I do have to say though, so I grew up in Houston, and where my mom grew up, we were relatively safe. It was good neighborhood. But when I moved out, I moved out to South Houston and to a not safe area. My brother and I had an apartment, and it was littered with junkies. People would try to sell you blank mixtapes at the security gate when you put your number in. We caught 2 crackheads smoking crack in our outside closet, which we used as a dumpster. It was supposed to just be a utility room, but we were too lazy because we were teenagers. We just threw our garbage in there, and we found 2 crackheads smoking crack in there one time.
Yeah.
You told me about your.
And, so Life Flight landed on our street, like almost broke our windows because somebody got bashed in the head with a pipe. Right? Grew up in that aspect of my life was little things going on, right? But we're all good. Never felt unsafe.
Yeah.
Right. And I moved to Washington, and I lived here for maybe 2 years, a little less than 2 years, and we were living not too far from here in Kirkland, and I was living with a gentleman. 2 guys and my younger brother.
They were both gentlemen. There's a group of gentlemen at the time.
Yes. And
Bully.
one of those gentlemen sold marijuana, and since I used to do that, I was very aware of what he was doing wrong and the way
Right.
that he was doing it.
I have notes, gentle sir.
Very flashy, flamboyant, always getting his shit out in front of people, cash everywhere, all this stuff, parties and all this stuff. And I'm like,
No, it's not a good way to do
you should
it.
dial it back, man.
Yeah.
This is where people go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You let the lifestyle take over you and not see it as just a job.
Right.
So, and I tried to coach him, didn't work, right? Whatever. And so we had a Super Bowl party one night. And I, the next morning, my girlfriend at the time and I were sleeping upstairs. So when you come up the stairs, the very end of the hallway is our room. Younger brother slept downstairs. And I woke up to this weird sound. And I just like jolted up. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I looked at my clock and like, weird noise. What the fuck was that? And then I heard some like rustling. And I get up and I open the door, and I sleep naked, so I'm fucking naked, right? So I'm kind of open the door and I crack, and I see my brother starting to walk up the stairs, and I'm like, what the fuck was that noise? And all of a sudden I see a gun to the back of my brother's head, and I'm like, wow, this is precarious. And so Andy's got a gun to the back of his head, and then another little squirrely guy runs around him and shoves a gun in my face, runs down the hallway, puts a gun in my face, and I'm like, wow, okay, so I know what's going on here. You're here to rob my roommate. And yell, anger, get the fuck down. And then they see my girlfriend run around me, shove a gun in her face. I'm like, hey, we're fucking naked here. She's clearly not going to do anything. Get the fucking gun out of her face.
Yeah.
They march us in the bathroom. There's 3 of them. March us in the bathroom. And my brother and I are just sitting there like, really?
This motherfucker.
This is really happening. And then we start hearing this like the sound of a taser. And I'm like, a taser, huh? So we got 2 guns and a taser. And I look at Andy, and my girlfriend at the time is just in the bathtub crying. And we're like, it's fine. We'll figure this out, right? We're all safe. Nobody's going to die. They're not going to do this, right? They're just here for the fucking drugs and the money. But the taser thing was like, Andy and I started looking at each other and like, are they sitting there with the taser on the doorknob? Just in case I try to touch a doorknob, I get tased. I'm like, what kind of childish ass shit is this? Fucking,
That's like something I never thought
this
about.
is so fucking ignorant. And then we hear crash, bang, crash. Safe gets ripped out. They steal all the money. They run out. And then we come out, right? And call my roommate and said, hey, this is what happened. Tidy up your game, bro. This is fucking bullshit. I just got my door kicked in for your shit.
This is your reaction. You know? Like, oh, this again?
Yeah,
like,
it's like, come on,
I believe
man.
he
like,
said drat.
well, and not to be, this, but like, hey, this isn't the first time somebody's pointed a gun at me, right?
Yeah.
And I can see in the fucking ski masked eyes behind that fucking terrible glare you have that you're terrified and you're not going to do shit unless you accidentally do something.
Right.
So let's just not make it accidentally happen, right? It's not my shit
what
you're
here
for, right?
And get the fuck out.
So they leave, all this shit. And so we go out, I call my roommate, and I'm outside just like, what the fuck just happened? And then my neighbor comes over, and he's like this old hippie dude, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, I told him what just happened. He's like, oh, I was out there in the back tending to my weed plant, and I heard some commotion. I ran in and got my shotgun, and then everybody drove off. And I was like, good for you. That's fucking awesome.
It's helpful to have sketchy neighbors.
Well, yeah, but good intentions undelivered means you still get jacked.
I was like, hey, good for you, right? Yeah. So, long story short, we found out who it was. Retribution was had, all that, whatever. But that night, I had to go to work. And this is kind of talking into the prank idea that we have, right? Yeah. So that night I had to go to work, and I'm going to work, and I'm shaking, right? And I was managing at the time. And I walk in, Friday night shift. I'm just like, fuck, here we go. We got to do all this shit tonight. And while I'm walking in, it's like 5. All of a sudden, I feel something stick me in the back and say, put your hands up, bro. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker. And it was one of my bouncers. Sweet man. Love him to death. He's like a godfather to my kids.
Oh, just wrong.
And I turn around, and he's got this big smile. Big legs. He's got this big smile. And I'm like, bro, man, let me tell you what happened to me today. And I told it, and he was like, who do we got to go get? And I'm like, we're good on that.
We're good, thank you.
But you just made me pee myself a little bit. And he's like, I'm so sorry, right? It was like one of those pranks gone wrong. Yes. It's just a simple little stupid thing, but having no idea that I had literally just gotten robbed that day.
Yeah. Jesus, out of everything to do.
Fucking hell, man. It was crazy. But so I grew up in Houston in this questionable ass area, surrounded by violence and all this shit, and I had to come up to fucking Kirkland, Washington to get my ass robbed.
Right.
What kind of bullshit
fucking
is that?
Kirkland.
I was a little pissed about that for a little while. I was pissed. And no offense, Robin, but one of them was a ginger, and that for some reason at the time really pissed me off even more.
Anger inducing.
It was me.
Yeah, it was you. Long con.
Oh man.
Exactly. He could tell by my eyes I didn't want to shoot him. I'm all like, oh.
But all that aside, like I fucking love pranks. I love being pranked. I like doing pranks on people. It's been a long time since I've had an opportunity to do it.
It is a dividing thing.
I don't think I like
because the people that hate it really fucking hate it.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna blow up like that, but yeah.
But I enjoy them very much. Like, and I enjoy harmless ones where no one gets hurt. It's just like I scare the shit out of someone and popping out. Like, and I'm married to someone who that is the worst thing you could do to her.
Yeah.
So it's really a bummer because there's just so many missed opportunities that I would like to use. But yeah, she's not a prank person, but I
I've never had the gall to like do the like peeing in someone's ice cube trays or anything like that.
See, that kind of stuff bothers me.
All right. Well, okay. So when we were
you did that shit.
Okay, hold on now. Hold on. When we were young, when we were teenagers.
Yeah, I understand this wasn't last weekend, bro.
We used to go to parties.
Very zen.
And so we were not the pee in the ice cube tray guys, right? My older brother was the perpetrator or the perpetuator, right? He's the instigator, of this. But by no means did I not follow along wholeheartedly.
Of course.
And you gotta understand how much effort went into this, because this is before we had printers at home, before we could print pictures at home, before we could take pictures on a regular basis on our phones. This was like snapshot, print out at Walgreens, go pick up, and then your shenanigans start,
the days,
right?
Yeah.
So Aaron would take pictures of himself and his friends in the classic 5x7s, which is most people have in their frames. And when he would go to parties at people's houses, he would replace their pictures with pictures of him and his
Hilarious.
friends. Right?
Hilarious.
Would plant bottles behind picture frames.
Yeah.
So when their parents went to clean, they would be like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
You know. But some of my favorite shit that he would do was he would rearrange rooms in people's houses.
Oh.
The furniture and pictures. And like one time a sidewalk.
Harmless joy.
So fucking
Yes.
creative, right? So one time I go outside because we're all inside partying and I can't find my brother. And I go outside and I call him. I'm like, "Hey, where you at?" And he comes back and his hands are dirty. And I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Hey, we found this like stone path, and so we rerouted it, and we're just gonna put a birdhouse at the end of it. So you want to help?" And I'm like, "Yes,
Of course I do."
clearly." And so like the whole backyard of this guy's house was like uprooted and rerouted into this path, and they just put some arbitrary fucking birdhouse at the end of it when it used to lead to like a fire pit. Like, you guys are awesome.
Yes. That's the kind of shit I love. I love all of the like wrapping a whole room in wrapping paper kind of shit, or wrapping Dice's everything in saran wrap. That kind of shit kills me. I love that stuff.
I did. One year I worked at the movie theater, and we were pretty heavy on shenanigans then, and it was so much fun. But I wrapped the office, and but having just so much time on my hands after I was done wrapping the office, I ended up opening the safe and I wrapped all the bundles of money and then all the individual coins, like the coin rolls.
How
and
much
all the
time
safes.
did you have?
Well, we're open on Christmas Eve, and it's like after a certain amount of time, you don't have business, but you have to
Right.
run the movies because the studio makes you.
Oh.
So you're just there
Yeah.
waiting until the movie's end. At that point,
hours at a time.
Afterwards, when we had digital, they could see that it ran, and then they would stop.
Mm-hmm.
But for something, it was like some kind of trigger or something like that with the reel to reel. But so wrap the whole office. But we had so much fun at that place. I worked with this guy named Cameron, who was on that level of shenanigan that you guys are, but this was before we worked together. And so Cam, I have this like pen that I always use called the Pilots, right? The gel Pilots or a big pen. And I love
We're
them. They're my
familiar
favorite
with gel
pen.
rolling pens,
Yeah.
Adam.
And so that was my style of pen. I had to have that pen. It was just a thing, right?
You a G2 player?
Exactly, 100%, right? And so he found my stash one time, opened all of them, took all the ink cartridges out, and then had me do a scavenger hunt to find all the ink cartridges. Right. So I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So my man used to drink Mountain Dew like water, and we had a little mini fridge in the office. And he had a case of Mountain Dew in there. So one day when I was slow, I took a drill and I drilled out the bottom of all his Mountain Dews, emptied them all out, and then put them back in facing up so they were still sealed. So whenever he went to
Right.
grab one,
It was just
they were all just
empty can after
cans.
empty can.
Yeah, it's shit like that. It's
Yeah.
just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, so much fun.
Well, I will say, one of the better pranks I did, intention matters when you do pranks, and who you do them to also matters. So I was not particularly, I didn't get along with my freshman roommate in college, and we had to set up where 2 rooms shared a bathroom, so we had suite mates.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got along really well with one of my suite mates. And the other suite mate, the 2 that lived in the room next to us, they hated each other. We did not like each other in my room, but we liked each other's suite mates. And so in my head, I was like, this is a very easy solution. I like Sarah, you like Bradley. Let's just fucking switch rooms so we don't ever have to like see each other.
Yeah.
And they refused
Roommate
to do
switch.
that because it was so miserable that Sarah and I would just find other places to go. So they basically had 2 rooms to themselves. So
that
it was
sucks.
just like, whatever. And so over Christmas break, I texted Sarah and I was like, all right, Sarah, I'm pulling the trigger. Like I'm moving,
swap.
I'm moving you in. We're room swapping. Everybody's gone. Bradley's gone. Jessica's gone. I'm just going to do it. But I did not have a great relationship with these ladies. But I took a picture of each room.
Yeah.
Took everything out, repositioned everything as it was in their room.
All right.
Like to the pencil in the picture.
All right.
So I was very proud of it. But I ended up getting kicked out of my dorm room.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Oh,
It
man.
is very
crossed the
fair.
line, huh?
Oh, my
Very
God.
fair. Sarah was like, listen, I support this. I don't think it's a great idea, but like, if you want to do it, go for it. You can take my stuff. But because I did not get permission from everybody else, I handled all of their stuff, which I was like, okay, fair enough.
That's fucking
But if I had
funny.
had a good relationship with all of them,
Yeah.
this would have been a monumentally amazing prank. But the best part is that I was at the football game and my roommate at the time brought her parents, because it was like Thanksgiving break, so brought her parents to the dorm room to like show her dorm to her parents for the first time, and they open the door and it's fucking all of Sarah's stuff. And it's so, and
This
so
is so good.
I
Oh
just
my God.
am so bummed I missed that opportunity to see that. But
Yeah.
I think that just opening that front door, I was like, this was a great prank. This was a great prank. And even though I am
So,
piecing
yeah.
out of San Pablo and got kicked out, and everyone on the floor, when I was packing up my stuff, people were like ordering pizza, helping me pack stuff up, and they're like, "We heard what you did." And I was like, "Oh, all right, at least I'm leaving a legend."
Did you have a relationship with any of those ladies afterwards, or any of those?
I
those
still
roommates
keep in touch
afterwards?
with my sweet mate Sarah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
I do
awesome.
not talk to the other two. Clearly,
That's so
did not have a great
fucking
relationship,
funny.
but I still keep in touch with Sarah.
So yeah, I was.
I stayed with her in Chicago. Like
Right
we
on,
still,
hell
yeah.
So
Shout out Sarah, I love you,
Sarah was
girl.
there.
when you talk about pranks, I'm like, I immediately thought about this guy online that went and bought the Where's Waldo book at Half Price Books, and then went and took it home and edited out Waldo on every page, and then just literally took it back to the store and puts it back on the shelf.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
that's not really a quote prank because he's not there to watch that person lose their fucking mind.
Right.
Kind of like how you. That's unbelievable. Hey, check out my
Just-
place.
They're so
Dude.
excited. Their grandma was there.
Ew.
Like just the whole family come in. First
But-
year at college.
I think those might be the best pranks because you have such confidence that it's gonna land that
Yeah.
you can just create the image in your
Oh,
head.
I can see it right now in my
It's
brain.
Like
still.
he took all the the JTT posters off the wall and rearranged them in the
Oh,
other
your
room.
NSYNC's over there, bitch. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, and it was just, I really did not like this human being. And so it was, even though the consequences were pretty, like, substantial, it was so fucking worth it.
Yeah,
It was,
totally.
and even if I wasn't there to witness it, I was like, just petty as fuck, and I just lived in that for so many years in college, and like word got out,
So
they're like,
good.
"Oh, we heard about that, and I was like, yes, that was
Yeah,
me.
yeah, that was
yes,
me,
yes,
yep.
yes, yes.
That's fucking hilarious.
yeah.
That's a great story.
One of my favorite things to do is when I go to like a Target or a Michaels or
yeah.
they have anything that has like knickknacks with with a letter on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the coffee mugs, you have like the coasters, whatever the alphabets. I like to spell things, right?
Sure.
I'm the guy, right?
Yeah.
I'll write boobs, I'll write dick, I'll
Yeah.
write whatever. It's
What are you gonna
fine.
do? It's right there.
There was one time there was this Target last Christmas. There was a display of stockings, and it was all like lettered stockings. And then it was like right before Christmas, so there was just like a mound of just discarded ones at the bottoms, right? And so I
Because of
just
all
walk
the
over.
shitty people that are looking for the
Totally.
letter, just throwing
Totally.
it on the ground.
And my kids are with me. They're going to get wrapping paper, and I'm like just sitting there looking at this. I'm like, what do I have time to spell here? Because nobody's paying attention to me. I'm like an NPC character right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people
And,
named Quinn.
Yeah. And so I wrote, help, I'm trapped. And so like I'm doing it and my kid walks over and she's like, Dad, you're such an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, but she
Yeah,
loves
I
me.
know. You gotta
But
take it where you can get
There
it.
was one time I was at Target and a different time and I was walking by the coffee mugs and you know there we have an opportunity and I'm like, okay, Swift, I gotta write like boobs or something, right? So I'm in the middle of doing it and I'm just like like kind of looking around and then all of a sudden I hear Adam. And it was a familiar voice, but I didn't really recognize it
Is
at
that
the time.
Val?
Yes. Valerie Hackett comes out of nowhere, like the fucking butler on Mr. Deeds. And I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? She's like, I'm
Very
so
sneaky.
I'm so disappointed in you. And I'm like, are you though? Are you though? Like, help me
got
find the
caught.
S. Go get the S for me, goddammit.
Yeah. You shut your mouth.
Go find an S.
Give me a consonant. I got enough vowels over here.
Yeah, come
God,
on,
that's
Vanna,
such
help me out.
bullshit. Such bullshit. The final thing on Wheel of Fortune is they tell you that you start with RSTLNE.
Yeah.
That's such bullshit.
Those are the most common consonants is what they
That's
say.
fucking fine, but they're gonna make their puzzle not have those letters in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You
it's
know what I'm saying? I mean,
think
if
probably
if
for
if,
time.
if I'm in
that.
charge of this shit, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna use those fucking letters.
Yep.
You know, rustily. It's not gonna be. It's
Rustily?
not gonna. It's not gonna be the final puzzle name.
I wonder if they have a term like that on the show, like QWERTY, like the QWERTY keyboard. The Rustle.
Hey, Russell?
Throw the Rustle in there.
Yeah, they just do RSTL and it just solves it. You're like,
I always still see it as like R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein.
Dude,
So,
Goosebumps.
Yeah, Goosebumps.
Yep.
Oh, so Tiff got into not Goosebumps, but she got some nostalgia. Did you ever read the Animorphs books as a
Oh
kid?
yeah,
I
book
didn't read
fair,
those, yeah.
big book fair. That anytime I'd get an Animorph, it was from the book fair.
So
Scholastic
she plowed.
Book Fair.
So when we were at Powell's, like in Portland, she bought a bunch of them, and she plowed through real quick. So for Christmas, I got her 6 through 10. It's so fucking funny. I'm just like, they're like,
I can't believe that hasn't been turned into like a Hunger Games, because everyone I know has read that book,
Animorphs?
but we've all kind of forgotten. Either we read it or we kept it in the
Did you ever
shadows
read
of
that
our
shit?
wall.
I never
remember
read it.
hearing about it, but I didn't get into reading until like my 20s. And
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still like kind of fronting like I read. You know,
what's the last thing you read?
finished.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Thank you.
And when?
Yeah. I think it was Pete Maravich's biography.
All right.
But that would have been probably 2 years, a year ago, year and a
Oh,
half.
that's right. You were into biographies for a little while.
Well, no, and I'm
Yeah.
still got the third part of. I still need to finish Mickey Mantle's biography.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that book's been a work in progress for a year now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on.
over a year.
Yeah.
When I sit down and read, I can blow through a book.
I'm streaky as fuck.
But
we're-
the in
we're
between
going.
the reading, like once I'm in my reading zone, like I can get like my last book I finished was called A Little Life, and it is probably the saddest book any person has ever written.
All right.
And I knew it was going to be
Read
good, and I knew it was
read
going to.
Eli Wiesel's Night. Some Holocaust literature will give you some.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty sad too.
Oh, man.
But it was almost 800 pages,
Oh,
and
what are you fucking valedictorian? What the hell's your problem?
I blew through it.
I'm like taking it personally.
And I
You're
just
putting down
can't
an
believe I was
800-page
like,
book.
I'm a good reader when I read, but it takes
think you're
me
a
a
well
long
reader.
time. I'm a good reader. I read
good.
good.
I'm a well reader.
I'm a well reader. But yeah, if you're out there, definitely don't read A Little Life. It's a lot of time spent. It's a lot of time spent crying.
So actually, I was actually looking at half price books yesterday. I was trying to find a used copy of. Did you ever read as a kid, Adam? Did you read Hatchet?
Oh yeah.
I remember that, but no, I didn't read it.
Yeah. So that one I'm gonna probably bump ahead because I think I can maybe.
Oh, you can
finish,
get through that.
I can finish an 82-page book.
For
in maybe,
sure.
Maybe a week and a half.
For sure.
There
At
you
least.
go.
Barbara Streisand's got a new autobiography
That's like 1,000
out.
pages
I
of
know
Barbara.
the audiobook
Oh, wow.
alone is 48 hours.
Holy Jesus
She
Christ.
reads
Did
it.
she read? Okay,
Oh
good for her.
yeah,
Wow.
and the shit that she reads about is like she said something in the book where it was like talking about an actor who farted. So she wrote the word farted, but she will not say it. So she goes, he FARTED.
Oh my God,
And I
that
was
is
like, this
hilarious.
is worth every penny.
Wow.
And this
Okay.
is worth every
Okay.
penny. And all of the stories that she tells are
You
insane.
should listen to. I remember this vaguely. I think the late Anne Heche, like in probably like 15 years ago, had that like spoken word like self-help book that she
Oh my
was doing.
God,
Do you
you're
remember?
right.
Do you
I'm
remember?
writing that down. I
Yeah.
totally forgot
That's a
about it. I wonder if
deep,
that's on Audible.
Deep.
I'm gonna look right now.
Deep pull. Do you? I remember
I do
watching.
love some Anne Heche.
I do love.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
I will get through audiobooks faster than I will get through books.
Yeah,
I
like
love audiobooks.
Anne Heche recorded this
Call
one.
me
Do you-
Anne.
I love when people that the authors record their
Is
own
it- yeah,
Oh, it's the best.
Call me Anne.
Call me Anne.
One of my
Next on the
favorites
list.
is Russell Brand's
He's got canceled now.
Beloved
Yeah.
or Evolved or something like that. He narrated his own book, and just to hear him rant his own rants is just so fucking special.
That's why every Carrie Fisher book I have it on audiobook because
yeah.
it's like you gotta listen to her do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my formula for audiobooks is generally my analytical books, I'll audiobook, and my fiction or like story type books I'll read, like physical read.
Yeah, like
That genre, because I like throwing
Archie
on.
and Jughead does not translate on
On
audio.
audio.
Well, I'm very like
out of Brimfield.
I used to not be imaginative, like visual imagination. Like I think a lot, but I don't really see a lot. But
Yeah.
I've started to change that, and so when I don't want to get into that space when I'm listening to a fiction book, but I want to get into that space when I'm reading it because I want to embrace what I see.
Right.
But if I'm listening to an analytical book, like right now I'm listening to The End of Averages, and listening to stats and talking about concepts and stuff like that, like I can noodle over the thought process without having to visualize it.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier for me to drive to Ellensburg.
Because
and
half
listen
the
to
work
this.
is done for you. You just
Exactly.
have to listen. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I used to not listen to books at all, just read everything, and it got overwhelming because I have all this time that I really want to dedicate towards learning in some kind of way.
Yeah.
So I love listening to podcasts and stuff like that. So when I finally bit the bullet and started to listen to audiobooks, it was like, God, this is the best.
We need
Yeah,
to,
it is. Especially on those long
I told you
drives.
about that
So-
idea. I wanted to buy us all that choose your own adventure book.
Yeah,
and then
we
we
should
have
still
an
do that.
assignment for a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time I'm at Half Price Books, there was one time I could have bought 3 copies of The Abominable Snowman. I'm just like, I need to
And
run
you
this.
didn't?
Yeah, I should have.
God damn it.
Man.
Well, money doesn't grow on trees, I can't just be buying.
I can't drop $9.
I gotta say about that.
I can't be dropping $9.
I got
Almost
my
double
crack
digits.
rear view fund. I can't be cracking into that.
Fuck, dude. Oh, so when I was at Goodwill today, I didn't look that hard, but I didn't find the Da Vinci Code. I did look. Did look.
That's an interesting one not to find there. I usually find like 3 copies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very interesting
Yeah, a big Dan Brown fan. Like they came through and just swiped them all up.
Yeah, who isn't a Dan Brown fan?
What was
Besides
your
me.
favorite prank you did, Robin?
See, I didn't really do all that shit. I was always that asshole that would convince someone else to do it, so you could always wash your hands.
Yeah,
Like
those are
owning-
important people in the prank
Yeah,
group, though.
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the,
you
the,
know,
it's
the
the
light
Heyoka
bulb,
thing.
like,
Yeah,
bing.
hey,
Yeah.
you know what'd be funny?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I honestly can't really think of. I mean, we were always pretty tame. Never had anything. I mean.
Yeah.
I had one.
I think of like a lot of it more along lines of like honestly more along lines of vandalization and shit like that, and that's not pranking. That's being a shit.
Yeah,
It's a fine line.
Oh yeah, exactly. Tell it to those assholes on TikTok. Like, yeah, I pranked you. It's like, no, you just fucking hit a stranger in the face.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's bullshit.
There,
yeah.
there are fine lines between harmless pranks and pranks that are just like I don't like to fuck with people I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can't
Like
do that.
I'll fuck with people that I don't like, but I don't fuck with people I
I
don't
mean,
know.
definitely the switching the two people's fucking dorms
Yeah.
is still amazing.
Well, and I had another one.
That's,
So
God,
that
did you see that grin she just made?
I'm very
Totally.
proud of it
Like,
still.
holy
shit, I've never seen
I'm gonna
that.
be 37 this year, and I still carry that fucking torch on.
Oh, it's so good.
That's what I was doing when I was 18. Monica was
go.
fucking bettering herself and helping out communities, and I'm being a fucking asshole at Arizona
You're like
State.
taking shitty digital photos of somebody's dorm and trying
Yeah.
to recreate it.
Literally.
yeah.
Looking at the IKEA frame, no, it was a little more to the
There you
right.
go.
No, I need it this way. But I was living in Tucson, and I was with my friend Kate, and we were getting drunk in her pool, and we're like,
good
let's just
idea.
make a bunch of prank phone calls. And I was like, that sounds like a
Oh,
great
God.
idea. But it started very harmless, and then it was still, I would say, harmless, but the intensity increased with each different person that we called. So we started with like people that we worked with, and we're like, we thought it would be really funny if we pranked them and told them that Kate had gotten arrested.
Oh shit.
And and so it was like stupid like that, and then it grew to calling her sister, who I had not really met yet, her younger sister, and this was kind of the first interaction that I had with her. Or I'd only had a few interactions with her, and she was like 13 at the time, like she was young. And she wasn't a huge fan of me yet, and she didn't really, she was still trying to feel me out, being protective of her older sister and stuff. And so Kate was like, let's call Kelly. And she, she doesn't like you. And let's pretend that you have kidnapped me and driven me to Mexico, and I'll call her like I'm in the trunk of the car. And I'll call her like I don't know where I am. And both of us are hammered, and we're like, that sounds like a great idea with absolutely no consequences.
flaws.
Absolutely. Terrify your little sister with fucking human trafficking. That sounds hilarious. Let's do it. So we call her. And so, we'll call her for like 30 seconds and then we'd hang up like it would cut out.
my God.
And Kelly's like calling her back like, where are you? Oh my God. And then I started putting on, I put on Rodrigo y Gabriela at the time because they just released their album.
Yeah, it's
so
good
I'm
album.
blasting like.
She's like, I'm in Mexico.
Oh, I'm in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I don't know where I am. I'm in Mexico somewhere. And Kinsey has me. And Kelly's like, I fucking knew it. I knew I couldn't trust her. And I was just fucking dying laughing. And then she finally comes home and sees us in the pool. And then she was so livid.
Oh my
and then an
God.
hour later, she comes back, like she storms in her room, comes back out an hour later. She goes, all right, let's call Brad. And that's her boyfriend. And so she's like, let's pretend that her best friend, I can't remember his name. So it was the same plot. And so she was fuming for an hour and then was like, okay, that was pretty good, but let's do it to my boyfriend. So she called her boyfriend and told him that her best friend, who was also gay, had actually been in love with her this whole time and that he had kidnapped her and taken her to Mexico to marry her. Wow. And all of this now, even just saying it out loud, it sounds so terrible, but it was so funny. It was so funny at the time. And it still lives in infamy in the Galloway family. They still fucking talk about it. And that was the first time I met Kelly. And then after that, she was like, all right, you're all right.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh,
I knew that chick was wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just running around her pool playing Rodrigo y Gabriela. Like, I don't know, I'm somewhere in Mexico. I can't find it.
That's
God.
deep.
Yeah.
It occurred to me when
Yeah.
you were talking about prank calls that I remember in elementary school we had the school directory.
Yeah.
Like it was just like literally like everybody's phone number.
Yeah.
I remember my buddies and I called it matchmaker. We would literally just like call as like some kid in our class, like, "Hi, this is Jim," and ask out somebody else, like, "Hey, I was wondering if you would want to go to the movies, go see Ninja Turtles 2 or whatever." They'd be like, "Nah, I'm good." And I'm like, "All right, cool, hang up."
Trying to get someone to the fucking movies?
Yeah.
My babysitter did that. She came over. I think I must have been in elementary school.
babysitter
No,
did
she
that?
was my babysitter. Like it was me and my sister. I must no older than 5th grade. Like I was I was a young child, but she took out my elementary school thing and she's like, let's just call people. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
And I was like terrified and I was like, yeah, that's great. And so she spent the entire time babysitting us, prank calling all of my teachers. Like they had the teachers' numbers on there too.
Yeah.
So it was teachers, parents, and I don't even know what she was saying, but my mom came and my mom came home and she was like, bye. And I was like, bye, I had so much fun. And as soon as the door shut, I was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. Like I fucking sung like a canary. I was so worried about getting in trouble. Like, this is coming from the prankster, pranked about human trafficking.
Right.
But when I was in 4th grade, I was horrified.
Oh
that
my
this
God.
Before
13-year-old.
caller ID.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah. This was like 94, 5
This is
maybe.
so good.
It
She's
was
like your babysitter.
I
is
literally.
like,
She never came over again. My mom was so mad she'd call and she's like, "Who did she call? Who'd she call?" And I was like, "Who she called? So and so." She called me. She called like one of my favorite teachers, and she's like, she called Mrs. Northam, and that's what like put me over the edge. I was like, Mrs. Northam's not gonna like me anymore. Not Mrs. Northam. No, God. Just here's the
what
thing.
an awesome
I-
babysitter.
And I ratted her out so fast. I
know.
didn't even wait till the
No,
body
but
was
how
cold.
cool! How fucking awesome is this babysitter? Just
God
like,
damn.
I
should
remember her
call
name.
these
She literally came
people.
over one time. It was a one time, like she was her first time babysitting with us,
She's so
and
tight.
her last. And I
She
wish
is
I knew
so
who she was.
tight. Oh
If
She
you
my
were
remembers
god!
listening-
you got her fired.
Oh my
my
God.
God, dude.
If you are listening, I don't remember
You
your
owe
name.
her an
You
apology.
are. I owe you an apology. Thank you for setting me up for life with just.
That is
oh my God.
That is unbelievable.
That's really great.
Just
That's really
fucking.
fucking
just,
great.
you're
I
like,
hope I
you're
find
like
her one day.
Nervous and just like, okay.
And my sister wasn't gonna say anything. Like
Oh,
it was
my-
like my mom.
Oh,
my
my-
mom told me later. She was just like, I was never worried about anything happening with babysitters because I knew if anything happened, you would be the first one to say something. And I was like, cool, yeah,
Oh,
that's
my
me. I'm a
God.
fucking snitch.
Holy shit.
Same thing happened with like I snuck out.
Holy shit.
I snuck out in high school, and my friend Whitney at the time. My friend Whitney was on a whole other level. Like it was a good cop, bad cop, and
Okay.
I was like the goody two shoes, and she was just like this hardcore partier, didn't give a fuck, grounded all the time, like slept
Yeah.
around, drank, and I
Good
was
for
just
you.
like, oh, you're just the coolest.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so I finally
Need
got
more of those people. They're great people.
Right. And I finally got the balls to sneak out one time, and I snuck out and I went to her house, and then we like drank outside her window with the little went over to our other friend's house who her dad was a
Do you remember what you drank?
pilot. Oh God, it was just literally all of the airline
Little
Barbie
little
bottles?
bottles because he
Yeah.
had them because he was
Barbie
a pilot or
bottles.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so dumbass me left all those bottles under Whitney's window.
Oh, shit.
I didn't take them with me. And so in the morning when her dad went out to do the lawn, he found all these bottles under her window and assumed she snuck out because it's Whitney. And of course Whitney would fucking sneak out. And I would never be a part of something like that. I'm too good for that. And so he calls, I think she had said that like, oh, you know, Kinzie just came over and we snuck her out. We went to a house party. Like it was a big night out.
Yeah.
And it was my only time I snuck out of the house. And so I hung over and I hear the voicemail go, "This is Mr. Fuca. And I need you to call me back." And I just start losing my mind and I just confess everything. Like I just rat everyone out. I was like, okay, so Carrie and I went over to Whitney's house and then we went to this
Oh
party.
my God.
And then he's a cop, by the way. Like
Oh,
her dad's a
fuck.
cop.
Shit, cop.
So cop ends up going over to the house that we had the party at, threatening to arrest the older brother that
Oh,
was
what a
like buying
dick.
alcohol for everybody, and it was like down the street or whatever. And Whitney was just like, I can't fucking believe you. She goes, I had a whole story. You don't think I do this for a living? You don't think I had this down pat? You didn't even give me a chance to do this. And I was like, that's just me, girl. If I have a sniff of any kind of trouble,
So-
I will fucking sing.
So yeah, that
man.
reminds me when I worked for a fucking record store. God, this is so. No, I'm not gonna tell
All
this
right,
one.
well, statute of limitations
Yeah,
still?
no,
Okay.
no. But it is funny though, because oh God, how do I keep this vague? There were two people that got arrested, and but one guy was just like, "Hey man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, hey, what are you gonna do? You're asking me like, hey, this loaf of bread versus this loaf of bread. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, it's like that, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Other guys like, I know exactly what that loaf of
me.
bread is. This loaf of bread. It's just like, oh well, that's not gonna work.
That would be me. That is me.
I
Still
had
to
a
this
whole
day.
fucking story about some creepy man drinking liquor outside my room.
Yeah. Uh-huh. No,
That's fucking awesome.
I am a snitch. I am.
So
I will
good.
fucking snitch
they
to save
get
my
stitches,
own skin.
dude.
I'm prepared for the stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will snitch. Absolutely.
My friends were really good about talking their way out of shit.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
or
I
working their way
panic,
out of
and so
shit.
I know I panic.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I might as well just take it. Better earlier than later. I can't. This is why I can't commit like heavy crimes. Like,
Right, yeah.
like
Yeah.
so I think about like, oh, like watch all these Dateline. It's like, oh, I could get away with murder. I was like, no, I can't. I would
No.
Yeah.
No.
I would never be. I might be able to get away with it physically, like
Right.
evidence wise, but emotionally, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
No, there was one time my buddy and I, my old business partner and I, we got pulled over, and they separated us, common shit, and we both had things on us, but it was pretty well hidden. Nobody's gonna find shit like really crotched in there unless they took my pants off. They're not gonna get it out.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
with him, and it was just little sacks. We were just driving around, and but they separated us, and they just like really kind of like molested us. As they're searching us, like just really trying to whatever,
in there.
And then they have us there, and we're there for a couple hours, but they kept going back and forth, and they kept, like the people talking to my buddy will come over to me and be like, he just sang on you. You just told us everything, man. Where's it at?
yeah, cuz.
We've got to get the dogs down here and tear your shit apart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, if you're wanting to waste taxpayers' money like that, like clearly you've all searched the car and you've seen what there's not in there. So if you don't feel confident in your job, I feel comfortable that he's not saying anything.
Right.
And then they'd go back over to him and I could hear the same thing. Or who's over there talking? It's like, all right.
Oh, yeah.
But we had established that trust of
Right,
like, there's
yeah.
no way we're going to
Fuck.
talk about each other,
Yeah.
right? If anything, I'll take it all and say, no, this is all mine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame it on him,
Right.
right? But then nobody found anything, right?
Right.
And so it was just a lot of that back and forth for almost like 2
So-
hours. And then finally it's just like, fucking, we got our eyes on you, let's blah, blah, blah.
As an
outta
improviser, I am a great improviser on stage.
Yeah.
I cannot improvise when I'm under pressure
Yeah.
like that. I cannot. I'd be like, you found something? Oh, God. All right, here's the rest of it. I'm sorry. Can
really
we
deep
just
in my
talk
butt.
about it? It was just a bad choice
I mean,
at
not
a
to
bad
air out
time.
your dirty laundry, but I mean, you used to do some shit. So how do you conflate
Well, I
getting
guess-
pulled over and not just being like,
Well,
Hi, officer.
handing it over.
Here's my drugs.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess, yeah. It just, I think it depends. I
it's
think I just
amazing
go.
on drugs. You're like, it's easy to lie about that. I can lie about that.
Because you're right. Like I have been in like sketchy situations that I've been able to get out of,
Oh,
and that I haven't
Oh, my
snitched.
God.
But I think maybe. I don't know. It just really depends on if I think he got me or not. And so if
Right.
I think I still have wiggle room, I will play it as
Yeah.
long as I
Oh,
can.
yeah, no,
but I won't play it as long as other people
Yeah,
do.
no, I the one time I didn't fucking lie. Well, I lied and then I stopped lying. It was when I was like, I got caught.
Yeah,
Like,
you know when you're
I-
cornered. Like when your friend's cop dad is leaving you a message on your machine, it's like, we're caught. You know, like
It's happening now.
it
Yeah.
might be less if you lie, but it's like he knows.
That's so funny. That's so
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
a fucking spiral.
I mean, I don't know what's more funny, the babysitter who doesn't even she didn't go to your school or anything, so she doesn't even
I
fucking
didn't even know where my mom found her. I think she
Yeah.
was like a friend of a
Let's do
neighbor,
it.
an older neighbor person.
That or the just moving somebody's life into another fucking apartment.
Yeah.
And then going and being like, "Hi, Grandma.
Yeah.
Yes, this is my new place." Yeah,
And we had bought everything together at IKEA. Like when we first met, it was like you're really excited about your roommate. We didn't know each other yet, so we were right off the bat, we're just excited. And so our moms took us to IKEA together. We got matching chairs. And, that was the other thing. Okay, ooh, this was the best part. This was the best part. I forgot this part. Oh my god, okay. So my sister had brought some of her friends up. She was still in high school, and so I had a bunch of high schoolers up in college, and I was like the big cool freshman in college or whatever. And so I was like, we're gonna go to a party and we're gonna get drunk. And so we got drunk, and I got one of her friends so drunk that she was just vomiting everywhere, and
sick
we had to
drunk.
put her in her we had to put her in a shower because it was just
you can't.
and so these two chairs that we bought at IKEA, they were matching white chairs. One of them had vomit on them, one of them did not. So when I made the room switch,
You gave her the shitty
I
chair.
gave her the shitty chair. And then when I moved out, she was not allowed to be there because the RA was like, you guys can't, it's an issue, so you move out and you have to go somewhere else. So I took the chair, the good chair. I left the vomit chair with her. And I went to my new dorm room and I get messages, voicemail. I think we had text then. Yeah, I think we might have had text. She was texting me. She's like, I know what you fucking did. I want my chair back. That is my chair. And it's like, prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Can't prove it.
I have a receipt.
Yeah, so it's like I will snitch, but I will do shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh my god.
If you piss me off enough, I will not
fucking
snitch.
funny.
So
Oh my god, I forgot about this. This is the best
I
part.
completely forgot that I left her the vomit chair. Identical. Except for the vomit.
God, you haven't seen
And I was like,
when
deal
was the
with
last
it,
time
bitch.
you've seen my cousin Vinny?
Oh.
Same tire, same car.
So it's been a while, but
Fred Windjam.
a friend of mine and I used to talk about and just brainstorm funny times about vinyasa style classes that we would do, right? And one of them was my cousin vinyasa.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. So, yeah.
I have so many quotes now in my head. I could turn into a yoga.
I know, right? It's
Yeah,
fun.
that's good.
Yeah, this so the woman, the aforementioned woman, Katie, she we used to partner up. She did this thing that I helped her with called Mofo Yoga, motherfucking yoga. And so the idea was to take yoga into CrossFit gyms and to help CrossFit get more mobility. And so she put together these classes, and we'd go in there and play heavy metal music, like Tool, Linkin Park, and shit like that. Yeah. And then, but also incorporate drinking. And so, every yoga pose, there was a way to get to your beverage and then have a drink while you're in that yoga pose, and then set the beverage down, and then complete the flow of some sort. That was fucking fun. It was a lot of fun to see people drinking and doing yoga. It was before I quit drinking, so I indulged also. But
That's better than goat yoga.
yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Better than goat yoga.
Yeah, goat yoga. There's a lot of poop involved.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, a lot of poop involved. I'm not a big fan of that.
Didn't we do it at Red Hook one time?
Not goat.
Oh, some kind of yoga.
They did.
Red Hook.
We did
Pints and poses.
Pints and poses.
Oh,
Yeah,
pints and
yoga in the
poses,
bowl.
that
That
was
was
it, yeah.
fun. I like that. That was fun. But yeah, all about the shenanigans, all about that fucking
Yeah.
prank life. You know, there's still so many more. Like I got fired as a prank. You know, there's so many things that just like
Oh, God, that's right.
it's just so
Yeah.
much.
That one,
yeah,
see,
yeah.
I remember you telling me that
Yeah.
one,
That
and
was your
that one
buddy
would have
Jeff,
upset
right?
me for a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah,
and then
that's
I would have
fucked
gone
up.
to my room for an hour and been like, all right, let's do this to somebody else. Yeah.
You know, and I
That's
think
so
I think
funny.
that's what it is. Is like as annoying as it is being the one that's pranked, it really gives us an opportunity to see how serious we're taking ourselves.
Yeah.
Because like if I was a part of doing that to somebody else, I would find a lot of joy in that.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and for the most part, yes, there are pranks that are like,
There's some shit where it's like that. There's
You've
a
crossed
fucking
lines.
line.
Well, I'm not
regardless
going
that,
to
but, like-
physically harm
Yeah.
someone or
Yeah.
smack someone
Exactly.
or like that's.
but if you're
yeah.
part of like a fun moment that was created and just happened to be at your expense, but it's not like damaging to you and your character,
Right.
Embrace it, man, because that's just fucking fun. It's just life. you know?
Yeah.
We talked about joke duels a couple episodes ago, and it's like that's part of it, like creating fun from life.
I've always said you can't fucking laugh at others if you can't laugh at yourself.
Right, right.
Well,
And you know, as much as I am not a big fan of Eminem's music, I appreciate him as an artist. But one of the things I do like about the way he approaches music is that he talks constant shit about himself, so
Yeah.
it takes away the opportunity for somebody else. But when you go
It's
out
the
there,
8 Mile syndrome. He's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck else are you going to say about me?
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's like when you can own what you already see, what other people could perceive as like your downfall or something they could use against you, then. It's all it really you see that it really just is a perception.
Yeah.
You wanted to ring the bells, huh?
Although I've never
wa-
done saran wrap on the toilet. I feel like that would upset me. For a minute. That would upset me.
I've
My-
done that.
I know.
My ex-girlfriend's brother did that to me one time, and he got me. Oh God, I forgot about this. Okay, so I was
Nobody ever got.
It makes
with
me
it,
laugh
though.
visualizing how
fuck.
my level of reaction of shock, anger, laughter, just like
It
I
was-
can see everything that would go through.
We tried it, but no one ever got
Well,
by
this was
it.
one of the more annoying ones that it took me a moment to like really find amusement in because it just kept happening. So I was opening restaurants at the time, so I was just tired and in multiple time zones and shit. I think I was coming back from Phoenix or Pasadena or something, and I've been gone for weeks and just tired as shit. And I come home and I just want to go to my bed, and so I go home, get in the room, literally just like crash on the bed. And as soon as I fall on the bed, I hear this like the saran wrap sound, and I'm like, motherfucker. And I pulled back just the top cover because he just put the duvet on top, and the whole bed was wrapped in saran wrap. And it's like,
That's gonna take
See,
so long to.
so I'm like, all right, fucking.
but it's not pee on your feet.
Well, okay. So get that
Not
off,
finished.
and I'm like, all right, fucking. I've done that much work. I'm awake enough to take a shower, so I'm like, go to the bathroom. Standing there, pee.
No.
And he saran wrapped the toilet too.
Yeah, just
No.
just
Yeah, so
cascades.
it was just on my feet,
cascades.
right? So I'm like, motherfucker. And so
Who was that?
Emerson. This guy named Emerson.
Okay.
Love him. Emerson's great. Big shout out, Emerson. Bless you. And then so I go to wash my hands, and I see that he had wrapped the faucet. So I'm like, haha, caught you, fucker.
Fool me 4 times.
Yeah.
Wash my hands, and I'm like, well, I got fucking pee on me. I got to take a shower. Get in the shower.
Shower.
He saran wrapped the
No
shower head,
fucking
and I'm
way.
like,
You
And he
got
wasn't
home alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wasn't home, so I like just tore through the house, just
Oh my
everything else
God.
that I could possibly be a part of. And the only other thing that I found that he had done was before I
Jaeger.
quit drinking, he had saran wrapped and duct taped and aluminum foiled and duct taped my bottle of wine and put it back in the fridge. So there's like four
Four levels
layers
of
of
shit.
things to get. It looked like a pony keg.
Oh my
The size
God.
of a pony keg. And so
Just
I
400
just
layers of
kind of
saran
cried a little bit.
Yeah,
and
because
finally
you
got the
also just
saran wrap off and went
want
to
to,
bed.
especially when you're, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Emerson. Fucking hell. He was good about that shit. He had some good pranks under his belt.
Yeah.
He was a good kid.
One of my favorite things to watch online are people that prank call corporate America. Like, there's this one guy that I saw a video that he prank called some. I can't remember what company it was, but he was just like, yeah, I'm not coming in today. It's just like a really sick beach day. He didn't work there, by the way. So he does not work there. He just had it random name. He's like, hey, this is Steven, and I'm not coming into work today. And he kept this manager on the line and just having the progression of like basically Spicoli calling in Surf.
Yeah, right.
And just like, we need you. And the company's so big, like it could be, 100 people under this manager. And I'm just like, this is the kind of prank I can get under. And just slowly watching this manager, corporate, losing her shit, but having to keep it corporate. Hilarious.
Did you ever
People calling in sick to places they don't work. Hilarious to me.
Did you ever see the? Did you ever see the? It was a like Australian radio show, and the guy's just like, they call this guy up, and he's like, hey man, I needed to use someone as a reference, and I just put this number down. My name's blah blah. Can you lie for me? He's like, yeah, man, I got you. So then, like 10 minutes later, like the other radio show host calls him, and he's like, "Hi, this is so and so with this company. I was just wondering, I'm calling about this blah blah blah." And the guy's just like, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy." Yeah, like just totally lied for him and shit. They call him back, they're like, "You are a good bloke, dude."
Yeah, right on.
It's like, how'd you meet him? Oh, at the footy club.
Yeah. Really reliable guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
So
That's
fucking funny.
I love that. Yeah, it's like you feel like you're part of like espionage of some sort.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, somebody's gonna come around the corner. I need you to say this thing. And everything's okay. I'm the good guy. And they run off. And you're like, cool. All right, I'm part of something.
I know.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but when we were having Peyton, Sydney was in the hospital. It was before we had to be on alert, but water broke and all that shit. So we're in the hospital, and I was smoking cigarettes at the time, so I was outside having a cigarette, as all good fathers would do. And this
Put
person,
the butts in your front
That's
pocket.
right. Keep it stench.
totally, yeah. And so this person walks out of the hospital and kind of walks by the garbage can, and there was something sitting on the garbage can, but I didn't notice it at the time until they walked by it, and they kind of picked it up and slid it in their pocket, and I was like, oh, that's some spy shit. Was that like a ticket? Because this is still in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
This
like
is
an
before,
envelope
you could,
Yeah.
email people and shit, right, on a regular basis. So it's like, oh, all right, cool. And so and then they walked a little bit, and then it's stopped, looked at the ground, kind of looked over the shoulder, and I'm like, oh, wow.
He's made
Maybe I'm
Following a spy?
yeah. So I'm just smoking a cigarette. I'm like, hey, look at the sky over there, and I'm like, I see out the corner of my
Yeah,
eye.
I feel like if he was a spy, he was fully aware that you were you were
100%.
just being sneaky in the background.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I've watched him for a minute, and it was still doing some weird spy type shit. But then I saw him stop, kneel down, and pick something up off the ground. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he puts it in his mouth and lights it. And I'm like, oh, that guy just lit a cigarette butt.
Oh, he
not
just
spy.
took a little
He
cigarette
just-
butt out of the trash.
Yeah. He
Oh,
probably
well,
just
that was an
stole
adventure,
garbage
though.
and-
Yeah. For a minute, though, that was quite an adventure.
That guy stole garbage. Did you ever see the movie The Stupids?
Yeah.
Tom
my
Arnold,
God.
he's like, see all that garbage out there?
Yeah.
That's all stolen. They stole our trash again.
Fucking Tom Arnold, man. God damn. I don't really know. I mean, obviously Roseanne and all that
True
fun
Lies.
shit, but True Lies is
Oh,
where I
he
really
is so perfect in that movie.
because he didn't he do Captain Ron or something like that or one?
No,
of the,
that was Kurt Russell, which
Yeah.
is dude. Captain Ron is
Not-
so good.
But
haven't watched it in
there
years.
was a '90s movie that Tom Arnold didn't he? Where he was like,
Stupids.
No, he did a bunch of those. Hold on.
I don't know, maybe I'm thinking
No,
of
you're
something
right.
else, but
So my brother was quoting. I was hanging out with my brother yesterday or 2 days ago. He quoted Tango and Cash. That movie
Oh.
came out last week. I still need to see that one.
Tango and Cash. I want to watch Tu Wong Fu.
Oh,
It's
You've
been a while
never
since-
seen
I
that?
haven't
yeah, I've
seen
seen
that
it.
either.
Oh, okay. I
I
was
haven't
like-
seen it. I haven't seen it.
It's been a while. I watched it. It came on as a preview. or
Wesley
something.
It's
Snipes.
so good.
Wesley
Yeah,
Snipes,
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze, and
Yeah.
John Leguizamo.
Oh, it's so good.
You're like, oh, I just go Wesley Snipes in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Snipes. Yeah, Passenger 57, dude.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All
Tom Arnold
all
has been in a
cross-dressing.
lot of fucking movies. I'll tell you that much right
The
now.
Stupids is pretty funny.
Yeah, Carpool,
Oh,
True Lies.
Carpool. I've seen Carpool
He was
probably
in-
a half
I mean-
dozen times. That movie sucks.
Before
I've seen
True
that.
Lies, it looks like Big Bully. You remember Big Bully?
I never saw
With
that
Rick
with Rick
Moranis?
Moranis. Yeah.
Rick Moranis. I love Rick Moranis.
Undercover Blues. That I think it was right before True Lies.
Undercover
Coneheads.
Blues.
that's
Wasn't that like
the movie I want to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undercover Blues.
With
You're gonna
Stanley
buy-
Tucci.
That motherfucker's
You're
been in a
gonna-
lot of shit.
You're gonna
Morty.
knowing you'll probably buy that digitally, and then you'll be like, I need to watch this 11
Well,
times.
no,
Otherwise,
okay, I've looked for it. It's not on a platform. It's my Airheads, right?
Yeah.
But it hasn't popped up on a
Airheads
platform.
is like some of that shit comes
Airheads
on
is
and off.
all over Hulu
It is now. It
Okay.
is now.
Well,
but
also-
like, I freaked out because Tyson and I spent all day quoting it and then couldn't watch it. I'm like, this is unacceptable. I can't. I can't live my life knowing that I can't watch Airheads at any given moment.
Yeah.
And that's when I started buying media again. That
Yeah.
happened 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the other movie that I found recently that I can't watch that I really want to on platforms.
Undercover Blues is on your list.
Yeah, so
I'll keep an
Undercover
eye-
Blues,
I'll
and then
keep
the
an
other
eye.
one is Dogma. Dogma's not on
is
any platform.
nowhere.
It's nowhere, but because Weinstein owns it, and Seth Rogen tried
damn
to
it.
buy it from the Weinstein production company, and they wouldn't sell it to him. So no platforms will pick it up because it's a Weinstein movie.
So now that's
I think
gonna
about
be,
Alanis
what I
Morissette
read.
as God.
So that's gonna be
so
that's
fucking
gonna
good.
be a DVD that I need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
I had 2 copies of Dogma at one point, and
Yeah,
now
I used to have
none.
the deluxe one that looked like
Yeah.
a Bible. Yeah.
I love that movie,
I do
and it's
too.
there's
I think I need to
there's-
rewatch that one. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny and haha at the
I haven't
time.
seen it
Yeah.
in years, so I wonder
think
if it holds up. But like, I
Yeah.
remember watching it over and over
Yeah.
again in
It's
high
pretty
school.
dark.
Yeah.
It is, but it's got one of my. So I actually quote this so much to
I quote the
clients.
abortion
and,
clinic line.
Oh,
quite
God,
a bit.
yeah.
George Carlin.
No, I'm not gonna say this shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna quote Jason Mewes. Come on
Yeah.
now, I'm
Not setting myself up that way.
Well, there's a scene towards the end where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are kind of like fighting over the power and all that shit. And Ben Affleck is the archangel, right? So he's trying to like take everything back, and Matt Damon's like, "Dude, stop!" Right? And so Ben Affleck's like, we have to die for our beliefs, right? And Matt Damon says, "Well, that's the problem with beliefs." And you have to die for your beliefs. If you have ideas, you can change ideas. And I'm like, that's one of the most profound things that I've ever heard, not knowing it at the time, but that's a line that comes to me so much. And it helps keep me in this kind of middle path that like the Taoists and the Eastern religions kind of spirituality paths kind of talk about, is like you don't tie yourself to an outcome. And so like when you have this belief, like if I believed that God was a thing, then no other information can come in that
Right.
can counter that. I'll only allow things to support that.
Big
Yeah.
problem I have with most face
Right.
structures.
And so it's like if you have this idea that there's something else out there that you can't really understand or explain, but you feel,
Yeah.
then information can come in from either way to help either prove or disprove that narrative.
Yeah.
Right. And it's up to you, your discernment, to allow that information in or not. But if you have the idea, it creates a pathway
Right.
where that belief is like a blockage.
Well, I
Yeah.
remember I always used to sit there and say, how can I, because I didn't get raised with any of this kind of religious shit. I don't think you were either.
No, not at all.
You know?
I found all this in my 30s.
But just the idea of like, well, how am I supposed to sit there and say like, well, that this one is fucking the one when there's
Exactly.
another fucking 3 billion people that believe that there's fucking this or this or this. So it's like there's already like at least a half dozen fucking legitimate quote, air quote claims to whatever the fuck it is. So it's like, cool. Well, maybe it's just a hodgepodge of all of them, or maybe it's none of them.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
One of
I'll
my
decay
favorite
in the ground.
One of my favorite
Deuces.
quotes. Ricky Gervais was on like a late night talk show, and he was talking because he's like an avid atheist.
It was Colbert.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in Colbert obviously is a raging Catholic, and and so he was talking about how the same thing of like how do you discern which is the right way and which is the wrong way. And he's like, well, all atheism is like you believe in one God, and out of all the gods that there are, let's say
3,000.
3,000 gods out there, you believe that 299
2,000.
2,999 are wrong. I just believe that one more is also wrong.
Right.
Like that's all. Like
There you go.
Like
Yeah.
that is all atheism is. Like you deny all these other ones. I just deny one more. And I was like, oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
The other one, and I'm not sure if
Love
Gervais
that.
said it, but was the idea that I think it may have been Neil deGrasse Tyson when it talked about science versus religion. And he said you can destroy all the religious texts
Yes.
right now, and they're all going to come back differently.
Right. Yeah.
But
you can
science will-
destroy all the science books, and all those are going to come back the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the beautiful thing about seeing all of it as an opportunity for you to interpret it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really what it is, because like, yes, there's so many different religions because nothing is really right because there's so many different people.
And
seems-
interpretations,
and even with the
It seems fucking
experiences,
brash to sit there
Yeah.
and think that your fucking view is better than. I mean, obviously, the podcast is that, but like,
Well, I mean, and it's almost like, you know, getting to an understanding that it's an interpretation and nobody's really right, nobody's really wrong. And even in take religion out of it, you know, like you were saying, atheists, Satanists, you know, naturists, whatever it is, the basis of everything is just don't be a dick.
Right.
Right? And so, like, however you want to interpret it, outside of like what's going to happen after this, it doesn't matter because we're here right now, right? So whatever you're doing isn't like hopefully to better your afterlife experience, is to better this earthly experience. And if we just kind of look at it like that, then we're all just trying to be good people doing the best we can.
yeah. So how does that jive with your faith-based upbringing and then giving your roommate the vomit chair?
That was during my
Backsliding years.
yeah, that
of
was my backsliding.
treachery.
I'd say that was the start right there. No, because I had to go through. I had to go through a lot of unlearning shit because I was
Can't even imagine.
I was a very like I went to Bible study.
And, like,
I was a very
and you get down with it too. 'Cause
No.
it's like, well, no, like as a kid, did you hate it?
I
Or did you,
I
like,
was
your
scared of
friends
it.
and shit.
I
or-
believed it was the truth, but I didn't like it.
Oh, that's
but I
trippy.
believed it was the truth.
Gotcha.
So I believed that I was wrong for being the way that I was, and if
Ah,
I was as good as I could be, then I could I could outrun it, or I could make it better.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that was how life was going to be, but I thought there was no other option. Like it had just been so deep seated into my existence and my own how I view myself in the world. Like I just didn't see that. Like of course there's a heaven and a hell, and of course I'm burning in hell because I'm sinning. Like I would cry every Sunday because I was scared.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's heavy as shit.
And then once I kind of got out of that into the world and I saw that there are other options and that maybe this one truth isn't the only truth, that I didn't have to follow these rules anymore and I could actually just live a life that I wanted to live, it was just like, oh, but it took me years. It took me a very long time.
So like I mean I know obviously there are some people like, you know, adults that are in like very rigid, like rake themselves over the coal based on their fucking faith, but they watch their fucking children go through this torment and they're like, okay man, maybe you don't need to Hail Mary yourself that many times, little broski.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
compassion.
Fuck,
but
man.
if it was as true as it for me, it was true like that for my mom and kind of still is.
Yeah.
But
Fucking
so
nuns.
she's probably equally as scared.
Yep.
And so if she believes all these things that I'm also fearing, and she's also fearing these things because she's putting the fear, or the church, you know, she's listening to the same people that I'm listening to.
Yep.
So she's in that reality too. So she doesn't see it as this child that's being tortured. She sees it as like, oh, she's making amends, or she's doing the right
She's getting her
thing.
proper
Oh, look,
upbringing.
she's touched by the feeling of God. She's so emotional.
Right.
Like those are all turned into like positive things.
Yep.
Like God, the spirit is speaking through you. That's why you're so emotional. That's why you're feeling this way. And it's just like it's used as the weapon for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But like adults fall for it. It's just I was a child when I was involved in it. But like
That's how you get indoctrinated.
well, and it still affects me. Like, and I have to check my train of thought, and it won't be like associated with like God or sin or religion, but it's that same feeling I get.
Yeah.
And so I have to check it as being like, oh, this is an old vibration.
Well,
this
yeah,
is an old
it's
feeling.
probably
This is
what
not
I do
real.
with my drinking. You know, it's
Exactly.
just like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't, you know, I don't choose to give that shit a lot of credence, but it's like, you know, think about drinking at least once a fucking day. I
Right.
mean, I'm thinking about it right now.
Well,
It's
it was
been a while.
hardwired. It was
Had a
hardwired
good
for
time.
a long
Had a good time.
time.
You know,
yeah.
it's like fuck.
Yeah,
you know,
it takes time.
so it's, you know, it's that conscious, just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah.
I'm
like,
acknowledging that this is
yeah.
not what it is, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's
still
some shit.
feeling it like
Yeah.
it's real.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And kind of like switching the pattern of like, oh shit, I'm thinking about that again, to like, hey, cool, I'm resisting that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's one thing, you know, maybe I don't give myself enough credit on that shit, but yeah, no, that's kind of the other thing. Is
Yeah.
just,
So I mean, if
Flip it.
I heard something the other day, it's like we have 6,000 thoughts in our head a day, and 80% of them are negative.
Just 6,000?
Yeah, right. You know, so like if you think about that, like 6,000 thoughts, that's a lot of things, right? You know, and it's got a lot of capacity to move into there. So like one of those things is probably going to be something we've done in our past. You know,
Well,
maybe something that we've accomplished or moved past.
And having that negative experience growing up with religion, it really turned me off to any kind of spirituality.
Yeah.
Like it took me a really long time to
Yeah.
kind of be open to
Right.
what I'm open to now, because it still has those, and even I'll listen to some speakers and there will be certain things that are said that kind of remind me of what they would say in church. It's like not the same words, but the tone is the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so it still gives me that icky feeling in my stomach.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, it doesn't mean what you think it means, or it can mean something different to you. And
Right.
I am a free thinking human being that I can interpret it, my own way and
Yeah.
make it whatever
Well, I
it
think
is. But
those feelings we get, I think, are very important because that will make sure that you don't make that mistake again.
Right.
Like whatever you've considered was a mistake, right? And because there are a lot of opportunities for people to still like take advantage of people in whatever kind of capacity.
And
I'm not
weaponize
saying
it.
people are, but yeah, being able to recognize it and being able to hear the verbiage that attracts you, and the verbiage that's like, holy shit, no,
Yeah.
that's a different way of saying like this thing. I'm not really down with that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ways that we can color speech in different in ways that make it seem very like pro everything that you're doing and that you're for, but then you get down into it and all of a sudden you're believing like Democrats have sex with kids to have,
Right,
like,
yeah.
and
It's
it's
like
like, oh
QAnon.
Jesus Christ, man,
it's a
this is
slippery slope.
What was the name of that personality test that I took when we were working together?
Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs.
No, it wasn't. That was the Winslow. Was it the
Winslow. I think it was something like that.
Winslow assessment?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
I was trying to remember this the other day, and I couldn't remember because one of the regrets that I have, and shouldn't live a life of regrets, was that I didn't have the meeting with the guy who ran that guy who was supposed to be a really rad
right,
dude,
yeah.
and like find out like, well, according to this, you should be polishing hubcaps in Alcatraz or some shit.
Yeah.
What was it? The Winslow
I
assessment?
think it was Winslow, something like that.
But that was one of those things like about like you couldn't answer every question positively. Like if you when you're doing a multiple choice exam and it's like, well, you know that there's one that's like, or you could D, look for the best in everybody
Right,
because
yeah,
everyone's great. I'm like, well, that's how I do it. Let's go D. Next
Right.
question. Or do you C, smile and say, I love you all. I'm like, well, that's me as well. Let's keep going.
Do that naturally.
It's like, remember that shit? They were like, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're going to need to take it again.
Yeah,
I've done all those.
the personality test was like calling you out, like you're lying.
Yeah,
no one's
right,
this
yeah.
positive.
No one is this
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. Was like, just like no one's this positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done so many of those, and actually a lot of the readings I've done recently have talked about how like Myers-Briggs was one of those front runner tests of personality and assessments and shit like that, and apparently they were created under very racist terms.
Oh,
and,
I'm sure they were.
and have been
Yeah.
used, silently as that for a long time. So it's like, you look at those things that, growing up, taking those and just those being part of like your corporate upbringing, and
And your entire identity.
and I got to say, like in all the businesses that I've worked at, there was never any hint of racism or separatism or not hiring because of color. Like there was always like, it was just like in servers and restaurants, like
Right.
you can fucking wait a table and you
can
pull
show up
your
on
weight,
time, you're
fucking
hired.
hired.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I don't care what you look like, what age you are, what color you
The
are.
bar is low.
As long as
Yeah.
you're above the age of 18,
Can't have
Yeah.
you can't have fuck work on your knuckles.
Yeah.
Are you-
Or if you do,
or
it has to say puck work.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Yeah,
Fuck
Sharpie
you.
it out.
Yeah, puck
So
you.
actually, I worked with a guy who, God, he was funny as all hell. He, this was at my first restaurant gig. He had, I think he got him in when he was in county. He had 187. He was not a killer at all, but he had 187 on his. I got 187 on it. I'm like, God, he was
That's
funny
a
as
choice.
fuck. But yeah, he had to mascara his knuckles.
Holy shit, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's great work.
All right. Well, good job.
Well,
Pranking stuff.
Do a human trafficking prank call, everybody. If you can do that in 2024, I highly recommend
And
it.
shout out to that
Do it to a
fucking
loved one.
awesome babysitter.
Wherever you are, girl. You're queen.
All right. See you next time.